Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second week of ACS Season 2. We just had a nice long break after our first game, but it's going to be me and Jerry back at it once again with this game between The Last Resort and Onibi. Jerry, how do you feel about this one, man?
Well, I'm pretty excited, as a lot of people are, to see The Last Resort playing, and Onibi, who had a bit of a rough showing last week, but they gained some points in the standings by virtue of a forfeit win afterwards. So technically, these two teams level in the standings, having both gained 7-0s. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very even matchup.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm with Twitter here.
yeah. I mean, as much of a fan of a good contest I am, a lot of people have this marked down as a potential floor wiping, shall we say. The Last Resort had such an incredible showing last week, but I mean, it was really Spoit that had the incredible showing last week. He went 14-1 in that match, making for the win a strong roster look like amateurs, and it was a real splash he made, it has to be said, into this league.
Yeah, and I just to echo what you're saying. I mean, if for the win, a strong roster, you expect them to finish sort of top 6, I'd say, in this league, and they just got completely 7-0'd by The Last Resort. And then likewise, Prey, another team, I wouldn't be too surprised if we see them early on in the playoffs. Don't know if they'll be able to hold a run. But they actually, I think in the scores, it was a 7-1 or a 7-2. Then obviously the forfeit came after the game. So while Prey, it was a 7-2, yeah. So while Prey technically won the game because of forfeit, because they didn't follow some rules, Onibi wound up getting the victory. So I have a feeling that this one is going to be quite a one-sided affair. I'm quite happy to be proven wrong, but I think The Last Resort probably going to walk away with this one.
I mean, I would absolutely love to be proven wrong as well. I'm with you there. I think that this is probably a TLR game, but we do have the map bans ready for you, and we're going to see exactly where it is that we are going to be facing off today. So last week, that TLR match was on Clubhouse, and Onibi's match was on Clubhouse as well. So we've had a couple of Clubhouses already this season. We don't have any kind of mechanism in place to ban previously played maps. It's just a fresh map ban phase. So we're going to go through the motions here and see what comes out the other end. Coastline and Consulate first off the board, followed by Oregon, and there's Clubhouse, so we're not going there again today. Last three available, Theme Park, Cafe, and that means that we're left with Villa as our decider map. And that's the second time that we're going here today. So
I mean, we were both talking about how little we actually get to cast Villa way back at the start of the show, and now we're getting 2 on one night. I was like, this is amazing. I love it. I always love watching a good Villa game. We saw some interesting strategies come out between UMX and Brown, and the way that they're able to play against each other, with UMX coming out on top. And I really want to see some more interesting strategies coming through here, and I hope that it'll be an exciting game. Obviously, being defender-sided, heavily defender-sided, it's going to favour The Last Resort quite a lot when they're on their defence, but I think it will also give Onibi a bit of a leg up when they do get a chance to do it.
yeah, and if I'm going to try and criticise The Last Resort in any way for their week 1 performance, which is difficult to do, they weren't especially great at denying breaches, and that was something that For the Win looked very proficient at. They were getting exterior walls open within 45 seconds or so, which is not incredibly challenging on Clubhouse, but they were doing it so consistently that it looked either that For the Win were just incredibly well drilled on it, or that The Last Resort weren't putting up as much of a resistance as they maybe could have done. And I feel like if Onibi are going to bring this to The Last Resort, they are going to have to play smart. Like, they are not, they do not want to take this this team head on in heads-up gunfights, Onibi really struggled last season. They didn't play any Villa last season, interestingly enough, either. And they finished near the bottom of the standings, but they stuck together, and they've got Sepega, Hoshi, and Tsugi have stuck together as that core. They picked up Isaac and Reason in the meantime, and perhaps last week is, that they can try and put that behind them. A 7-1 against a 7-1 loss against a very talented roster on Clubhouse, and I think that they're going to look at this as a clean slate.
Yeah, and there's also just a possibility that Clubhouse really isn't Onibi's map, and we might see a whole different side of them when we get on into Villa. They might just blow us away as they can, maybe play a bit better on that map. But we are going to have the last resort starting out on defense to begin with. So Onibi have got a mountain to climb before they get that defensive advantage. They need to ideally pick up at least 2 rounds on the attack. We saw, I think it was Brown got 2 rounds on their attack, and they were looking good moving on into their defensive half, but they weren't quite able to pull it together. So I think that we're going to need to see Onibi get at least 2, preferably 3 rounds to try and secure some form of competition in this game. I don't want to be too harsh on Onibi, but the last resort, I think we can all safely say, are the much stronger roster on paper moving on into this game.
I think we're going to see a very different style of Villa as well, based on the way that the Last Resort were defending Clubhouse last time around. They weren't too fussed about losing tactical advantage, losing ground in the map. They were just happy to take those gunfights, and that's going to be very different from the very turtley style of Villa that we saw from UMX Gaming. But here we are on Villa, the beautiful vineyards of Tuscany. What a setting for this evening. We've already seen it once before, and here we are again. TLR starting out with this ban. First ban for the defenders, and I'm pretty sure this will be a Thatcher ban, to be honest.
I mean, the last resort may want to mix it up, but no. Going with Old Faithful, that's going to be Thatcher off the board as you predicted. But let's see if you can go 4 for 4 as Onibi.
Okay, this is oh damn! I couldn't even think of an operator in that time. I would not have guessed Capital. I was thinking more along the lines of Maverick or Habana potentially, but no, Capital, an interesting one, I suppose. I'd imagine we'll see a Mirror and a Maestro ban, or a Mirror Echo. Let's go Mirror Echo. Okay, that's 2 out of
that's the safe one.
4. Yeah. Now Echo, please give me the Echo. Come on. I reckon that with Capital off the board, you're less likely to see Maestro in play because the smokes aren't likely to come out. So it would be a relatively soft ban. So let's stick with Echo. Well, there we go. 3 for 4. I mean, it's not the most out there set of guesses. I guess Thatcher, Hiban, and Mirror Echo. So I was bound to get 2 or 3. But there we have it. Capital, an interesting. Well, I mean, the most interesting of that lot, I suppose.
Yeah, Capital, I think the teams that ban him are more than likely the teams that play him, if that makes sense. Like, they understand how powerful he is, so they ban him so that it's not available to be used against them. But then at the same time, the teams that don't ban him generally don't have the inclination to use him in the first place. So you wind up not seeing a lot of Capital that way while still seeing a fair amount of Capital bans.
I think at this particular level, he's relatively underutilized. He does actually take quite a lot of precision and coordination to use. When you're whipping out that crossbow, he does expose himself quite a lot. And you see it a lot more at the highest level where teams are very set up. They know exactly where those bolts are going, all 4 of them at once, and then they get a plant down. And it can be so perfect when done perfectly. But I think at this kind of scene, there's slightly more emphasis on the gunplay and making sure that you have the sort of the edge in that regard, and less emphasis on like incredibly not telegraphed, well rehearsed executes.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. As we look at this setup coming through from the last resort, Spoit is going to be on the Valkyrie. That's providing a lot of information for his team. I don't think he's throwing any of those cams outside though. And the rest of the setup looks fairly similar to what we were seeing early on today. Go for an early C4 toss, but there's no one there. It hits the roof as well, so it wasn't going to catch anyone even if there was someone there, but that is a very early C4 wasted from the Valkyrie.
It is. I'm surprised not to see Spoit on the dock. He was rocking the dock quite a lot last week, although there was a sort of a trend, shall we say, to stick him on an operator in Valkyrie 1 round and then Doc on the next and then Valkyrie the next. So he was kind of alternating between the two. He was definitely more deadly with that ACOG in hand, but that's no reason to assume that he won't get a few kills this round either with that MPX. He's already spent that C4 though, so bit of lethality wasted.
Yeah. Jaeger shooting a little bit too early means that Serpega's aware of the angle that's being held, and so just isn't going to challenge it. Throwing the drone out, though, almost gets his head taken off. The C4 coming on out from Benjamaster doesn't do anything. So, a lot of early C4 use.
Yeah, and on a map and a site like Aviator Games, that's actually not so great. You do want to be saving those for later on. Obviously, the roamers below can quite easily use them on players above, and right now, Benjamaster's catching the IQ with her back turned. That's a freebie, and Spoit finds his first of the match as well. Benji just beat him to it, though. Isaac falling out over in a heap. Lovely angle being held there by Jegs on this elevated position, and with 3 kills coming out in the space of about 10 seconds, that's Onibi pretty much done and dusted for this round, unless they can pull something magical out of their hats. Oh.
Yeah, but Spoit's not even going to give them the chance to, well, get a hand on the hat, as that's a reason off the board, and now it's left up to Hoshi. Is the Ash, gets the first kill, is aware of the second. Oh my goodness! Hits the shot onto Benjamaster, was close with the pistol, but the peak wasn't still there. Spoit had just backed off. It's now a 1 versus 3. This is doable to an extent, at least, but some good aimers still left up on the side of the last resort to put an end to this round. Spoit having a little bit of fun 360ing with the Deagle, as Hoshi, like a rabbit in the headlights, trapped, spinning around wildly, seeing if he can find a way out of the situation. Shots going next to Spoit's head, not close enough to kill him, but pushing up down the hallway is Hoshi. He's aware that he's inside of Art. He's still got 2 flashbangs in his pocket if he wants to go for a solo play, but with 30 seconds left to go, he needs to either find the diffuser or find these frags. Shots coming out, doesn't land.
Does land the down onto the smoke, however, and that's given him 20 seconds to work with, and 1 player on site, presumably the Valkyrie now reinforcing, coming back up the stairs, but that diffuser is so far away, so he has to go for frags in this situation. He knows that 1 is roaming. Spoit finally rounds the corner, lands that 1-tap deke that he's been going for the past minute or so, and that's another one for the highlight reel, I suppose.
Yeah, and I mean, 3 very nice kills there coming out from Hoshi, but ultimately impactless, as the round was over about 30 seconds before he even got the first one, when those 3 initial quick kills came out.
And Hoshi, honestly, in that sort of situation, you saw what he was capable of. Those were a couple of very nice shots. The first one, fairly standard, and the reactionary shot onto the player on red stairs, incredible. And or was he peeking from Memorial? I can't remember. It was around that area. And it was, yeah, that was honestly just the moment I thought, yes, Hoshi. We've seen in the past, when Onibi have performed, a lot of it has to do with this player. He can show up in those moments. And right there, he did manage to take it down from a 1v5 to a 1v2, and actually gave TLR something to worry about. Even though, you know, the way that Spoit dealt with that, it didn't look like he had any doubt that he would win it.
Yeah, I mean, doing 360s with a Deagle, generally, you generally tend to be seen as being quite confident in the situation that you'll come out on top.
Absolutely. We see a slight change of approach here from Onibi. They're going to be bringing that Monty, and I think that this is a good shout. They're going to be able to roam clear much more quickly. Like I said at the beginning of the match, this is probably going to be a very different style of Villa than the one we just saw, especially from the defensive half of UMX Gaming. Godsent apologies. TLR, reading that old tag. TLR are definitely looking to play this a far more aggressive style, as we see the Alibi, the Vigil, the Mozzie. I mean, the Jaeger's fairly standard in most offensive setups, but you can expect that he'll be playing aggressively as an operator as well. And really the only player on this team you can say he's probably going to be sitting on site is Lupus. Everyone else, it's fair game for them to be running and gunning.
I mean, compared to everyone else, you know, every other operator that's being brought, Lupus is basically throwing. Like, why is he not on a fragger, just running around, trying to quick peek everyone? And it's going to be Spoit holding a nice angle, deals a lot of damage onto Hoshi, the only player so far on Onibi to have any kills. So that's a good start. I thought the hole in the wall had a defender behind it. Not. I was very scared for the Monty for a second.
Luckily, he's got his back covered, and he has gained quick control of this side of the map, which is quite good considering there was a very heavy roam presence from TLR. It's actually forced them back onto the site and back downstairs where they don't necessarily want to be. Sapega doing a little bit of a do-si-do with the tree there as he tries to find his way towards the building, as the rest of his side have managed to make quite good ground, and they're still roaming. They've decided to slip underneath and see if they can gain anything from there. There is just the one C4 in the hands of Yegs, but maybe they're looking to go for the late flank.
Oh, see Isaac here applying a good amount of pressure on the red stairs, forcing two players to back off. That's going to be the Jaeger of Spoit and Mozzie of Yegs. And for the time being, they're just going to back off. It's going to be Benjamaster to get the opening kill of the round, taking down Reason. So Zofia off the board, a fair amount of utility and a good gun gone. And with a minute to go, this is still going to be a very difficult take coming out from the last resort, as they're still going to try and find their way into the site itself. Benjamaster just somehow running right past the Monty to safety, and Sugi gets the kill onto Just Savage.
This is a bizarre round from TLR. They need to make sure that they're showing a little bit of respect here to Onibi, as they've already managed to gain full control of that B site, and in fact, both sites really. But the peek comes through from Benjamaster. He finds one. Looper's with it. Oh no, Looper's with that peek, and he finds one. Benjamaster elsewhere, taking down the Jackal. The ADS from the Monty doesn't net anything. Spoit dealt with by Sugi, and now the Monty dealt with. Sugi comes off the plant, but he doesn't realize that Jegs is behind him or across on the other site, and that's a kill through the archways to clean things up for TLR. That very fast and loose gameplay just proving too much to handle for Onibi's attackers.
Yeah, and I mean, I was quite impressed that they were able to get inside and be going for the plant, but when everyone else around you just winds up getting taken down, it offers some very nice peaks. They didn't properly secure their flank, meaning that Jegs was able to come up the red stairs and pick them apart from behind, or potentially even up the main stairs over by the study side. I'm not entirely sure which staircase he flanked up, but he just completely tore them apart on the flank, and then a good defense from Lupus inside of the side as well, just to help secure the round.
That was a much more promising round, though, from Onibi. They did manage to gain that site control after a very thorough roam clear of that top floor. They just weren't set up in the positions to enable the pinches. I think having some players perhaps positioned on that... I'm trying to get my compass bearings right here. On that west balcony, the one that overlooks the red stairs through the window into, like, the double trophy door. Having someone set up there, for instance, would have enabled the players clearing from that south side to sort of push safely in the knowledge that anyone that they push back is going to get caught out by that hold. And we saw it where Isaac was just standing on red stairs, and Benjamaster was allowed to just run straight past him as the alibi. Someone holding those positions on the attack, you know, it's not the most fun job, but it's a necessary one. It will give them the opportunity to get those early picks. And really, I think, while it was a good roam clear of the top floor, they didn't really get any kills off the back of it, and that just hurt them. An early trade coming out, Just Savage taking out Hoshi on the Ash, but immediately being felled by Sapega on the refrag, who's going to push in through this bottom floor. And that's an Ash for a Lesion. Fairly sort of even trade, I'd say. You lose those goo mines. Will Jegs be expected, though, in Pantry? He absolutely is, and he does get downed by Sapega, who's on a double kill for the round. So good entry by this Jackal, who's making light work of the roam, finally.
Yeah, and that's C7E showing its power. Benjamaster, a long-range fight with that MX Storm. Low recoil, low damage, but high rate of fire is able to take down Sugi from across the map. The diffuser is covered by Reason. But it's a 3 versus 3, still a lot of site control. Lupus has used up one of his smoke canisters already, and this shield is going to present an issue unless they're able to get rid of it safely and quickly, because there's not really much that Isaac can do to get past it without massively exposing himself. Reason does still have his impacts available, but he's getting peeked at by Lupus. Isaac just ADSs and headshots of smoke. The alibi drops down from above. Benjamaster with the double kill. Reason and Isaac get flicked on by the alibi, dropping in from above, Mission Impossible style. What?
Well, I mean, we turned up today thinking it would be the Spoit show, but so far, Benjamaster's putting on the real show for us right now. 4 kills in that round, absolutely decimating the attackers. And I think he found... At least he's found the opening frag every single round before this one as well. Look at this beautiful hatch drop. expertly played, knowing not to aim at the Monty. He's got that shield up. Catching the Zofia off guard, really, you've got to be expecting Zofia to do slightly better in that situation, and then taking down the Monty as well. Just incredible stuff. Look at that, 7-1. He's giving us the same sort of showing that we saw from Spoit last week. In fact, I think he might be doing better. Spoit was 5-0 after 2 rounds, and I think he might have... I'm trying to remember when he died. I'm going to go back and check.
You said Spoit went 14-1 at the end of the game, so through 3 rounds, Benjamaster is currently
he's
on target to... Yeah, he's on target to have more kills by the end of the game.
Yeah.
If it is a 7-0.
Good stuff from the Alibi main, I suppose. But yeah, they've also, TLR, completed that full rotation. They've found their way back to AVG, a very strong site, and Onibi, they have adapted since that first round. I do like that they were very quick to that adaptation. They saw how quickly the TLR were willing to play, and they immediately moved on to that Jackal and Monty, and it has worked for them. It has to be said, but... Oh, the one-tap trying to come through from Spoit. I think he's... Is he playing pistol only for this match?
He did use the MPX at one point in the first round. I don't think he got much of anything in the second. He did fire some shots off as the Jaeger with the 416, but I don't think he netted himself any kills in the second round.
Okay, fair enough. I'm kind of semi-expecting it from Spoit at this point, but we'll see if he decides to pay some respect to Onibi. I think maybe this is why we're seeing Benjamaster come out on top at the moment, but there we go. Hoshi punishing Just Savage for that early run out. The Valkyrie dead, but obviously her utility spent besides that C4. And once again, in fact, I think this is the first time Onibi have found that opening frag.
Yeah. It's always been the last resort with that initial advantage, so this might make a bit of a difference in the round. However, I was about to say, might make a bit of a difference, but it's probably going to make a lot of a difference as Serpega is able to get the second kill. It's now a 3 versus 5. Spoit not using the pistol anymore, and he's going to land himself a double kill on the Bandit. Long range shots for that MP7. Yanks get the kill onto Isaac, and then swings around on Serpega. Double kills coming out from everyone, and now it's just Reason. The only player on Onibi to not pick up a single frag at this point has now got to try and find 3.
This team is a walking highlight reel right now. Reason, last one alive, and he does manage to find those shots onto Lupus, but that's just about it as Spoit finishes off that round with a 3k. Incredible job there by, I'm going to say, Ninja, our observer, for catching literally every single kill that round. Well played to Ninja. He's the real MVP of that round.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spoit with the 3k, let's be honest. That was impressive stuff from him. Hoshi, the only one really quick enough to react to the aggression that was brought out by Onibi, or by TLR in that round, and we saw Serpega getting an early frag as well. But in the 3 versus 5, Spoit and Jegs just coming out huge.
Yeah, and I mean, what can you really do? Again, when people are just hitting shots like that, Jegs managing to perfectly line up with the head of the player who was sitting inside of the closet. Wasn't able to land the shots onto him, but it's some impressive gun skill coming out here today. Something that you don't always get to see a lot of, and it's very nice to watch. It's soothing me.
It's definitely entertaining, you gotta say it, and they just seem to be playing for fun at this point in time. I'm looking forward to a match where we see TLR really struggle. I want to see what this team is like with their backs against the wall. Post-Spoit pickup, of course, I'm speaking about, because ever since he's joined this team, it seems like they're steamrolling. They haven't yet dropped a round. Just let that sink in for a moment. They haven't dropped a single round in this entire league yet. I mean, granted, we're halfway through their second match.
Yeah,
if Onibi can take a round off them, I'll be very happy. Looks like they're going for the typical juggle run out where you see one person jump out and then the next one jumps out a second later, but actually that's not the plan. It's a good strategy. It disguises the fact that you're going for the run outs in multiple ways, and you don't expect the bandit to be immediately followed up with a dog. So, I'm going to say TLR, boo. You should have done that. You should have gone for the double run out, and I'm disappointed in you. This round might as well be a loss in my books.
Yeah, well, that's it. You don't go for the double run out. What's the point in even playing? Like, let's be real here.
Yeah.
We are just talking about sort of how good TLR are with their gun skill, but also this is a nice little angle being held by Benjamaster, getting the inside of the doorway, which is a very common spot to stand close to, as Jegs gets the kill onto Isaac. That's the Monty gone, a lot of the pushing power eliminated. But the inside of the aviator door onto the top of that landing, it can be a very nice angle to hold as Sir Pega slowly checking the angles. It takes Jegs down, putting us now in a 4 versus 4, but losing a Monty and losing an Oryx, two very different things in Last Resort, still in terms of utility, coming out on top there.
I mean, let's face it, that Oryx pick was made to hard counter the Monty, and he's done his job. Spoit has found reason in the meantime, but Sapega once again is there to clean up the mess, and he's been a very consistent performer so far for Onibi. He's grabbed a kill or two in most rounds. So I feel like he's really kind of putting the team on his back at this moment and saying, look, this game isn't lost yet. We're 4-0 down, but it is Villa attack. They still have a chance to pull this back. It's 3 versus 3. And Benjamas has been caught out on the flank. Sapega on course for an ace potentially. He's found a triple so far. And now Lupus and Just Savage, who have had quite a game so far. Not much has been asked of them, admittedly. But now they're going to have to step up and see what they can do.
Yeah. Sapega using the C7E, one of the best guns in the game. I think only overshadowed in terms of rifles by the AK-12. In terms of just damage per second, reload speed, it is an absolute beast of a gun. Jackal, an operator, sees sporadic play in the competitive scene. His utility can be useful on larger maps such as this, and especially with the way that Last Resort are playing, kind of running around erratically, being able to keep a track on one player at a time for up to about 25 seconds, I think is the maximum. Can be
Speaking
very,
of 25
very
seconds, there's only 25 seconds left, and I think Onibi might have squandered their advantage in this round, because we've got toxic gas canisters coming out, choking out one of the positions. Sugi goes down to the spray of Just Savage, but Hoshi and Sir Pega are there to find the final 2 kills. A quad on the round for the prone-peeking Jackal. That's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. Finally taking the head off that player. And Onibi have the amazing... what do you call it? It's the achievement of finally taking a round off of TLR in this league.
Yeah, for the win weren't able to do it, which is quite surprising. And for Onibi, a team that underperformed last season and had a poor showing to start off the season, to then be able to come out and just be the first team to take a round off of TLR. It's quite impressive.
That's quite good as well. 4-1. They have an opportunity to bring it to 4-2. And I think at that point, TLR maybe need to start thinking seriously about this match. They have been playing for fun so far, it has to be said. And while it's been smart fun, they've decided, we'll bring out the Oryx to try and hard counter the Monty, which is consistently being shown. It's also, that ended up getting the Oryx killed. And I think so far, Onibi have shown that they're resilient, that they can adapt, and that they can be just as strong as TLR and adapt to what's being thrown at them. That's not something that we actually saw for the win last week. It just seemed as though they sort of laid over and died. And I think now we might finally, if Onibi can claim this round, then we might finally see what TLR actually have in their pockets when they are kind of pushed up against the wall.
Yeah. I do feel, however, that TLR's attacks are going to be more explosive than their defenses. Maybe not going for rushes, but that early quick aggression into the site and Spoit with a great little readjustment to take the head off of Hoshi. The Ash and one of the better fraggers on the side of Onibi gone within the first 25 seconds. Yeah,
and I suppose the only thing that Onibi can take from that is the learning experience, but they've got one round. This is their last round on attack. you know, if they're going to get caught out on any sort of weird early peaks, it shouldn't be this one. You know, they should know what TLR are bringing. They do know what TLR are bringing, and I think that's just negligence on their part, to be honest. Benjamaster is falling back from this position. He knows that they've got that early advantage. They don't want to waste it. Spoit on the double kill as well. He finally finds Sapega, the hero of last round, who has moved on to the IQ, interestingly enough, despite the fact that the Jackal was working quite well for him. And now they find themselves in a 3 versus 5 with Isaac on low health as a Monty. Only really 2 guns on the side of Onibi. That pinch works perfectly. Spoit taking down Isaac as Just Savage deals with Sugi as well. And now Reason has no reason to see out the round, really. He's just going to stand on the roof, expect the early or the late aggression, I suppose. Wielding that LMG that you rarely see on the side, in the hands of the Zofia. And if I were him, I would take this as an extended tactical timeout. But maybe this is just not in his nature.
Yeah, at this point, you're kind of thinking, have a bit of a brain break as it is, you know, sit there, think about what you can do and how you can adjust. But then at the same time, the score is 4-1. If you're able to collect a couple kills, you know, the round's already over, especially if you just go for the tactical timeout. You might be able to piece something together if you actually go for the round attempt, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. It looks like he's just going to run as far away as he can. So there is no chance.
He killed Spoit. Surely that should fill you with confidence.
You kill Spoit, you win the round. I thought that was the rule, right?
Yeah, if you kill Spoit, you're better than Spoit. Lupus is just taking a nice toxic bath at the moment. And Reason is having a nice sort of shimmy on that rock. You know the Jungle Book? Where Baloo, he itches himself on a big... the bare necessities. This is the scene. Reason reenacting that wonderful scene from the Jungle Book in the jungle of northern Italy.
A Polish bear.
Still trying to find him. They're peeking the drone holes, expecting him to be somewhere, but no. This is it. That's the round over. And I suppose 5-1 isn't the worst. They can try and rack together as many defensive rounds as possible. It is Villa. It is doable. They just need to be very prepared for that aggression that is undoubtedly going to come from TLR on their attacks.
Yeah, and the big thing here is going to be this first round. If they're able to, you know, embrace the storm that is sure to come from TLR, if they're able to weather it and make it through the other side with a successful round win here to get it to a 5-2 scoreline, then, you know, at least in my mind, they might be able to start to pull it back just a little bit more. However, I think if the last resort get this round here now, especially in a quick, aggressive and decisive victory, there's going to be at least a part of Onibi that goes, we've lost this one, let's just give it to him now and try again next week.
Yeah. I did say at the beginning of that defensive half that one thing that Onibi could look forward to doing and capitalize on was the weakness of TLR that I picked out from last week, which is that they don't tend to defend their breaches very well, or their hard walls are very quickly breached. But I mean, Onibi didn't even get close to breaching anything in that round. There was no master bedroom push on Trophy. There was no study push or any control gained on an AVG attack, any meaningful control gained of, say, study or 90 to go for those breaches. And yeah, the hard breach barely came into it. And now perhaps we'll see some hard breach once we swap sides. Maybe it will factor into the round, or maybe it's just not in TLR's nature. We'll get to see that. Spoit making a beeline for that main entrance. He just wants to get in the building and shooting people as he would. Sitting on 10 and 3. He's reassumed his place at the top of that frag count. Benjamaster still sitting on 7. But here we see Sugi. He's got the number on Spoit. And without the fresh drone, it looks like he gets a free kill. And that's what happens when you just Ash main in through main.
Well, it's not stopping the rest of the team from just running as Benjamaster. It goes straight on into the site itself, able to get all the way into Vault before Isaac's there to take him out. Just Savage does have a long angle going through with a holographic outside on the balcony. That's a difficult battle to take. So Pega getting up close to the study door, trying to prevent another quick rush on into the site itself, but it's going to be Jegs all the way over here on these Astra stairs that is attempting to deny any flank and potentially catch the player who is inside of library off guard. It's going to be Sugi, the Pulse. He has a C4 available, so even if they do gain site control, if Sugi is still alive, it could be very, very difficult to be able to get a successful round off here.
I feel like Onibi could have had a very easy time of this round, or a much easier time of the round than they're having. If they've reinforced that study wall, it's puzzling to see that it was soft and it was very early exploited by Just Savage. You see that angle he's holding, and Lupus is going to find Hoshi downstairs, taking out one of those C4s, but there's still Sugi lurking, and he has that cardiac sensor. Such a powerful operator on this map in particular, and I don't think that TLR have they have the tools to try and hunt him down. They have IQ, but I don't think it's going to be in their checklist, to be quite honest. Oh, as I say that, here we see it.
You said you had a penchant for jinxing yourself, and well, that is going to be a little bit of damage dealt onto Sugi. He's actually down to about 1 HP. Isaac, however, gets the kill with the Maestro Cam onto Lupus. Jegs just pre-firing. GA-A1, you've got 51 bullets. Just pre-fire everything, and it's going to work out for him this time. Reason, however, gets the kill onto Just Savage. So now Jegs needs to try and find a way to win this 1 versus 3. There's 30 seconds left on the clock. The spray coming through the wall. He's behind the maps at the moment. He's only down to 1 HP. There's almost no way he can pull this round off as he goes to stand up, forced it on ADS, and Reason getting a pistol kill of his own off, as that's going to be Onibi getting their first defensive round here.
So that was a very interesting sort of panning out of situation there. We saw, like I said, they had the tools to deal with the Pulse, and that was an incredible swing from Jegs, perfectly pre-fired, and he'd already dealt a lot of damage, but he did land that final headshot as well, so even if he hadn't, that would have been brilliant. And I think the problem was that during that time, the attackers on TLR basically, they pulled a Scooby-Doo, they pulled a mystery gang, and they split up and looked for clues. They just didn't have each other's backs. And while we saw Jegs doing a great job downstairs, everybody was off on their own and in no position to be refragged. So the Thermite fell, and I can't remember who the other operator was remaining on the board for the attackers, but it was the Zofia holding the long angle from the rappel, wasn't it? And she fell as well. And all of these attackers just too spread out in that disadvantageous situation. Obviously, you need to be going for picks, and you need to be trying to fight to win your 1v1s, but Onibi just had those angles on lock. We didn't get to see it, but clearly they were stationed on site, and AVG is a very strong site to hold, and I think TLR just played into their hands in that situation.
I still can't get over the fact that you made a Scooby-Doo reference, to be honest with you. That's still just ringing in my head. But yeah, like you say, TLR didn't really play that site as typically as you would normally on attack. I mean, they had Spoit dead within the first 20-30 seconds just because he ran into the main door, and then Benjamin Master was in Vault while there was people still setting up over by Bar. So, it's not necessarily the most typical round, and I'm sure we won't see, sort of exactly the same thing again. More than likely, we're going to see a bit more of a standard take coming through this time, especially as it looks like they're setting up for a Master Bedroom execute, and there is a lot of utility invested by Onibi into defending this Master Bedroom side.
Yeah, so this is that similar kind of hold that we saw in the previous match, where you have that Wamai and the smoke playing inside of bathroom and closet, trying to hold as much ground as physically possible on this entire north side of the building, and it's a very good strategy. If you work with shields, you work with Wamai discs, then you can offer yourself a lot of protection and burn a lot of time at the very least. So smoke's going out there to prevent any early aggression, but Spoit's going to get on this window, and now Sugi has a couple of angles to have to worry about. He also needs to worry potentially about the rappel on Astro and make sure he doesn't back into an unfavorable situation there should the attackers choose to use it. But Sapega's the first to find a kill, and it is onto Spoit, and that's a great story for them. Again, we will reiterate, if you kill Spoit, you're better than Spoit. Sugi does find Just Savage as well. He has been down in the process, and some whiffed shots there, unfortunately, from Sapega as Lupus manages to take him down. Sugi is down, and he's finally finished off in fact, Benjamin takes out Isaac on the prone peak and then finishes off Sugi, but Reason at least taking down the Thermite, and now 2v2 ensuing.
2v2 Reason and Hoshi. We've seen Hoshi perform very well already, but he is on the castle of the UMP, the worst gun in the game, as it is so called. So it's going to be difficult for him to be able to hold onto this entire sort of Astro side by himself. Reason is in a good position to try and help with a crossfire into Astro itself, but he does also need to be aware of the pressure coming through from Master Bedroom, and he may be aware of it, but when Benjamin's just ready to take your head off at any given moment, it doesn't really matter. So that's going to be Reason down. Hoshi's left alive, 1 versus 2. Still 40 seconds left to go. They have so much time to play with, but Benjamin is going to chase the kill down anyway, vaulting over, hipfire, pistol. And that's going to be the last resort with their 6th round.
The confidence of Benjamin right now. He's just oozing it. Look at the shots that he was taking. Look at the incredible